Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing an oil change on my 2015 Kawasaki Versys 650. Everything that I'll be doing today should apply to the 2015 and newer Versys lineup. So a few things that you'll need. Obviously a 17mm socket to get your drain plug out. You may want to replace your crush washer. No mechanic by any means of the word, but I just know that that's something you should probably do just in case, you know, not to get leaks in the future or things like that. Personally, the oil that I use Motul 7100 10W40 in my Versys. And then as far as an oil filter, I use the K&N, doesn't really want to focus in, but I use the K&N 303. And I'll go ahead and make sure that I put both of those things into the description so that you can research them for yourselves, see if that's something that would work for you maybe. Maybe you have a different brand that you like, that's perfectly fine, but that's just what I personally use. Coming down to the bike here, sorry I got my snow boots on and all that, because for all you who don't know, it is currently snowing in Texas, which is like a miracle. But, but back to the bike. To find the drain plug on the Versys, sorry, I'm just trying to brighten up the camera here. Find the drain plug on the Versys. It's going to be on the left side of the bike, and then you come down by the engine case, and there's normally a fairing here that covers up the exhaust and the lower bits of the engine case and the breather tube and all that. You're going to go ahead and take that fairing off, and that fairing is right here. So as you can see, it does have three of these little Allens that hold this fairing on. This is what it would normally look like. There's one here at the bottom, one on the top right, and then one on the left here. I'm going to clean this up too while I have it off. But that would be that fairing. Fairing that goes right here, and then the drain plug is pretty easy to find. This is your little breather tube here. So if you come up behind the breather tube, you can see that drain plug right there. That's the 17mm drain plug. And then I'll use a little 17mm and take that off. And then obviously you go and set your oil pan up under here, which I'll do in a minute. Move on over to the oil filter. You can kind of see it right there. There's my little K&N. So your headers sit here. The oil filter is right on top and to the right of the headers. And I'll go ahead and set up my oil pan and everything and get that set up. And then I'll catch you back when I'm taking the drain plug out, and then we'll move on over to getting out that oil filter and everything. So see you guys in just 1 minute. Alright guys, so we are back here up and under the motorcycle. So I've got my bike up on the center stand, and we have a clear shot here to the drain plug. So I swapped out my short 17mm socket for a long socket and an extension, just to make it a little bit easier to get into. So let's go ahead and knock this on off. So, and I always try to make sure I don't put my drain plug on too tight. That's also something to remember. Whenever you're tightening up this drain plug, it doesn't need a lot of pressure. You really just want it like hand tight. I typically go straight to hand tight, and then I just do a little bit more, not a lot. It does not take a lot of pressure, and I'll try and demonstrate that as best I can whenever we come back. So my oil pan, let me just take off my little cap there. And then so as you can see, I already got this loose, not a lot of force at all. You really don't have to crank this stuff down. It's just gonna hurt you in the future. And I try and set up my oil pan to where it has, because at first when it comes out it's gonna shoot. So I try and give it a little bit of space at first, because it has a oil behind it and it's gonna kind of shoot out like that. But as you can see, man, it's really not a lot of hard stuff. Personally, I hate watching guys take these bikes to the shop and stuff to get them worked on for oil changes, because it's really not hard, and you know, you can save yourself a decent amount of money. I think with my oil, I've spent like 80 bucks at first to buy all the oil I needed, and that's for 2 oil changes. So really all I'm in is 80 bucks and then the oil filter, and I think in total I've spent probably about $108 for both oil changes to be done. So you know, you're cutting out the middleman and all the shop fees, and you're using the oil that you prefer. Obviously you can use cheaper oil. I prefer to use Motul 7100. You could get out cheaper by using like Shell Rotella T6 or something of that nature, but I just prefer to use the highest quality oil that I'm aware of. And that's why I'm also thinking about changing over to AM's oil after this oil change. But I'm gonna go ahead and let this drip out, and go and catch you on the other side here, and we'll get that oil filter out. All right, guys, so we are here at the bottom of the motorcycle again, which is just directly behind the headers, just so I can show you how to get the oil filter off. Obviously, I always recommend with your oil filters, don't crank them down. You know, don't, even if you have one of these K&Ns with this nut on the end, do not use that to tighten this oil filter on. Only use your hand. They only ever need to be hand tight, so you never want to go past hand tight on an oil filter. The last owner of this bike, when I first bought it, obviously, I mean, he must use a wrap ratchet, or one of the ones that kind of go around the oil filter to tighten it on, because me trying to get it off was a battle. And I thought I was gonna have to take the bike to the shop and have them drill it out, but luckily I got that one off. So we're gonna come up in here, and I've already loosened it just a little bit, just for the video, for the sake of time. But just gonna come in, and then as you can see, just twisting it off, lefty-loosey, twisting that on off. Some more oil is gonna come out. And you're gonna have to wipe the exhaust off some too. There's not gonna be oil in your exhaust. And I like to just kind of let this oil filter here just sit into whatever drain bucket you have, you know, just so we can get all the oil out and you're not throwing that in your trash or putting that in the landfill somewhere. So now what I'll go ahead and do is get the new oil filter, and I'll put a little bit of this oil that's on my hands on that filter on the ring on there before I put this one in. I'll go ahead and show you all that. Be right. All right, guys, so I got that oil filter in there hand tight. Let me just get some light on that for you. So I got that in there hand tight. You don't use the wrench at all to tighten it down. You really just want to use your hand. And if you feel like you're not really getting a secure grip, or maybe you got like some oil on your hands or something, what I'd recommend is using a rubber glove to actually tighten it down more. If just to your hand tightness, but you can use like a rubber glove, or if you have a really good pair of mechanics gloves, you can usually get a better grip through that oil on the surface of that oil filter. But now we're going to move back over to the drain plug, tighten up that drain plug real quick, and then we'll go ahead and fill her up with some oil. We're back onto the drain plug side of the motor, and let me get you zoomed in a little bit. So that's going to be that drain plug right there. And then I'll go ahead and take this off really quick, actually, so I can show you something. So right here, if I can get that in focus, that little silver piece there, that's that replaceable crush washer that you are gonna wanna order. I would go ahead and order a pack of them, you know, either on Amazon or eBay, or, you know, wherever you like to order your stuff. Cycle Gear, JP Cycles, you know, there's a plethora of different places that you can order from, but I would definitely for sure order a replacement pack of those, just so that whenever they do wear out, you have something to replace it with. And I'm just going to get this socket in here. So I have my 17mm socket with a pretty long extension on it, just to help me tighten it up a little bit better. And yeah, see, and with this oil plug, and just to give you a reference of how it feels like it bottoms out whenever it's fully tight. And whenever you feel it kind of bottom out like that, you know, you don't want to keep cranking on it. Like if it feels like, here, let me back up some so I can give you a representation. So just to show you, like, I'm not really moving anymore, and it takes a lot of force to really, you know, get it to move from this point forwards. So once you feel like it's tight, I just really try to keep my hand at the end of the ratchet, so I'm not using a whole bunch of torque. But once it feels tight at the end of the ratchet like that, you're good. It really doesn't take a lot of torque to get these things tight. And that's the whole point of that crush washer in there, is actually to keep it from leaking, so that per se you don't have to sit there and tighten the bolt all the way down, and it gives you that extra resistance to leak. So now what we're gonna do is go to the other side of the bike again, and we're gonna go ahead and fill it up with oil, and then I'll come back over here and I'll put this fairing back on, and I'll show you how to read the oil as well. But be right back, and we'll get over to that. All right, hey guys, so now we're back on the right side of the motorcycle. Just to go ahead and show you, this is gonna be your oil level indicator right here. that see-through glass. It has a high marking and it has a low marking on it as well. And I try to aim to keep it a little bit closer to that high marking, but just under it. On a full oil change, which would be changing out the oil filter and fully draining the oil pan, the Versys tends to take, I believe, just about 2 quarts of oil. That's what I've kind of figured out online, and that's what I've seen in my own testing. In the manual, it does say 2.3, but that's for a completely dry engine. Which, when you do an oil change, even though it kind of seems like, oh well, I'm taking all the oil out, it is completely dry. It's not factory dry. There's still oil stuck up in the top of the motor, and there's still oil stuck up inside the case of the motor as well. But now what we're gonna do is go ahead and fill her up with some oil, and then go ahead and get her started up for you. All right, guys. So now we have the bike filled up with oil. So you can see here, it's showing low still. I'm gonna go ahead and start the bike up on the low and see if it goes up or down any. And if it does go down, then obviously I'll add more oil. Put the bike over into neutral. So now we got a neutral. I'll go ahead and get a cold start for you. So I just did a quick start there because I knew that oil filter was dry. And I just wanted it to suck up the rest of that oil, as you can see. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to add a little bit more oil until it actually gets to where it's actually full. All right, guys, so as you can see, I went ahead and added some more oil in. And the bike is cold, so the oil level is a little off. But I did add in a little bit more oil. So I have about 2 quarts in there, and when I crank it up and it's warm, it should represent the full 2 quarts. And also that side fairing, sorry, I was just saying hello to my neighbor, but that side fairing, it does just go right here under the engine case. So that's super duper easy, guys. Honestly, not really a really hard oil change at all. I will ask, if you did, get any help from this, please leave a like down below. And if there's anything else you want to see on the Versys, please let me know, man. I've done a few mods like LEDs and stuff like that, and if that's something you'd like to see me kind of go through explaining how to set it up and all that, I'd definitely love to do a video on it. But please leave a comment down below. Y'all have a great day. Peace.